All right, hockey fans, let's get down to it. I don't got time to wait. Lucas ain't got time to wait. It's a big week. It's a big thing. Before we get into our power rankings, I want to touch on something because Lucas and I found that in Hub City, Tampa, in Charleston, we made it, Lucas. We made it. And we had already made it. We're already most watched show in junior hockey. Nobody's ever come close. We're getting 3 to 5 times more viewership than anybody else who even tries to compete with us. But on hockey TV, we got Joe Buck treatment. We got Doc Emmerich treatment. We got the B word, biased, thrown at us. And I just want to touch on this for our hockey fans at home, just twice, only twice with the bias. But just so you know, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Doc, Eddie O, anybody out there in the game, anybody calling games in a game of hockey broadcasting, do you think that the Dan K show, us guys, the guys that cover everybody, we love everybody, we're here for the players, do you think we're biased about a specific team, or do you think that maybe you love your team just so much that sometimes it's a little rough to hear about the other side? Think about it that way, not just for us, but for the wonderful Joe Buck out there who puts in a lot of work behind the mic, for all those guys out there and gals working in the broadcasting world. Bias is a tough word to throw around, but I'll tell you what we are biased about here, folks. We are biased about the USPHL Elite and Premier, and we are biased about these power rankings. And this week, I introduced in my right-hand man, Mike Consigliere, Mon Frere from Another Mayor, Mr. Power Rankings, Mr. Shootouts Don't Count, Mr. I am dumb and have bad choices on the power rankings himself, Lucas Jones. What's going on? You got excited. I tricked you, and I came after you.
That's okay. I'm a big roller coaster guy, Dan. I used to not be. I used to not be a roller coaster guy. And then on a high school trip, someone said, oh, this roller coaster's not too bad. And it was the worst one. And I realized roller coasters are kind of fun. So I'm here for the ups. I'm here for the downs. I'm here for the loops. And I'm here for the drops and the ascensions. I'm here for it all.
As a man who couldn't survive an hour in the passenger seat with you in Florida,
you couldn't survive 5 minutes in the passenger seat. I hit the brakes one time.
I am not a roller coaster guy. I'm not a move fast guy. I'm not a climb a stairwell guy. I'm just a guy who stays on the ground in his shell where he's nice and comfortable. But, Lucas, we dug in this week to the USPHL's power rankings. We've been in the Dan K Show beach retreat, LBI Studios here in New Jersey, and begging to get back to Tampa because it's just so much nicer. But we look at this, and we broke in a new mathematical equation to help out here, Lucas. We are breaking in next year, next season, it will be launched in full, the Dan K Show's power rankings formula. But we've helped out with our eye test, with our roster test, with our statistical test, and we've created what we kind of call the DKS, like the BCS, but the Dan K Show series, man. This is the real deal. And these numbers, Lucas, had some really crazy findings that helped us break some ties in the power rankings.
Yeah, I mean, if the BCS were good, it'd be the DKS. I mean, we put the two top minds employed by the Dan K Show, myself and Dan, because there's only 2 employees at the show.
I thought I had another employee. I was like, I can't afford that.
Who have you hired? It's Dan and I. We put our heads together. We figured it out. It's pretty cool, folks. When we realized that it matched up in a lot of ways with the unique way that Dan and I sort of approach these power rankings, it was a pretty cool moment. I'm not going to lie. So we're ready to officially launch that next year, like Dan said. But for this year, a little bit of a hybrid approach, and we are very happy with the results.
Yeah, and what's important about it, and what made us come to this decision was the idea the B word was thrown at us in another way from our power rankings last month, and the biased word. And there's certainly no biases here. We look at what we think are the best 10 teams in the Elite and the Premier around the country, and we put them in there, and we put them in order. So we wanted to really dig into the numbers this week and make it an unarguable attempt here to find the best 10 teams in both divisions based off of the best factors we can find in the hub, out of the hub, in the Northeast, in the Midwest, in the Mountain, everywhere in the Pacific, everywhere we could go in the Southeast, and we got it. Elite Power Rankings. Let's stop talking. Let's start ranking. Number 10. This is called the wake up spot. The two roads diverging and us taking neither one because we travel by zip line, Lucas. We are about to reveal this one, and Lucas, this is going to be a shocker. At number 10, a tie. The Tampa Bay Juniors and the Hampton Roads Whalers. Explain.
Yeah, so this is certainly our wake up call spot in these power rankings. The Tampa Bay Juniors, by their own admission, did not have a good Southeast showcase. They got run through the grinder for sure, but no excuse. And I think the coaching staff of the Tampa Bay Juniors will be the first one to sort of employ that mentality as well. 2-5-2-1 in their last 10. Florida Eels closing the gap. The Tampa Bay Juniors have got to get better. And we know they've got the talent. We know they've shown it to us over the course of the season. We know they're a developmental organization, pushing guys up, pushing guys to other opportunities. But we know this team is there. A lot of these games were close. We feel like this team can get back into it. And Dan, on the Hampton Roads Whalers side, what did you see this month?
The thing about the Hampton Roads Whalers is they sit in fourth place in their division, right? We got to look at roster space as much as we have to look at the record and what's going on. We have to look at who's being played against. So one of the big things in the DKS, as we call it, is strength of schedule, right? And who we're playing. The Whalers in their last 10 have played 9 teams in this top 10. They've played 7 of their games against teams in the top 2. 8 of the games that they played in the month were played against teams that were in the top 3 last month. So that strength of schedule, unbelievable, unrealistic, and just a relentless schedule for them, puts them in a spot where I found it hard for them to not be involved here. They're tied at 10. If you made me rank them A and B, I'd make Tampa would be 10A. Hampton Roads would be 10B for sure. And that should be a wake-up call to my folks down there in Hampton Roads. I know the coaching staff down there trying to wake those boys up, get those boys moving. Coach Stephanie and everybody down there. And Rocket Rod, man, he's getting involved. He's really in it now behind the bench with that elite squad as well, trying to wake those boys up. And for Tampa, Lucas, it's a team that on paper is a top 3 team in my mind. I keep saying it and over and over and over and over and over. I love this Tampa squad. I really do. It just comes down to consistency. And right now the consistency isn't there. You lose 2 to Atlanta, and then you come back and you beat them with your entire team starting on the All-Star team in Hub City Atlanta All-Stars. So interesting month here for Tampa. I think it's a time of just great change, a lot going on down there in Hub City, a lot of teams to play, a lot to take into account for the whole organization. I really think you see a bounce back in February. I think this 10 spot's a temporary spot for Tampa. For Hampton Roads, let's go. Prove us wrong, boys. You want to be higher than 10? Let's go. Climb, climb, climb. You got to win games, though. You got to roll them out.
Exactly. Same thing for the juniors. I mean, turn this thing around, boys. Again, we know you've got the talent. We know on paper this is a great team, and we've seen them in action. They look good, but you got to close out those games. You got to play 60 minutes. Get the boys fired up, get them ready to play hockey, and let's get it down the stretch.
The Tampa Bay Juniors still with the 2 top point getters in the league, Ryan Bahula and Adam Custable. Number 9, the Rockets Hockey Club, also known as the Lucas J. Association of Hockey Playing Atmosphere. 15-3-0-0. In the month, they went 5-1. They had 1 loss to the Hitmen. They're 8-2-0 in their last 10, a plus 54 goal differential. The reason they sit at 9 right now is because this is a team that has the opportunity here in February, Lucas, to head down to the hub and put something on paper for us. So that kind of factors in of put them in a, lack of a better term for the Rockets, a launching pad here to really make a move. And that's what this is all about. I think by the end of February, this is a team that has all the makings of a top 5 squad.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where just because the BMW's in the garage doesn't mean it's not a BMW. We know what
Yeah,
this team
BMW.
is. Well, I mean, we know what this team is, right? We've seen the rosters, we've seen them play a few times, and they've wins against the 2-1 against the Hitmen, 3 wins against Jersey Shore Whalers. So this is as much as a prediction spot as it is a ranking spot. We think this team will win at the Hub. We think they will succeed at the Hub, and putting them at 9 is not just an indication of where they've been, but where we think they're going.
Wags is going to be frustrated with the spot, I'm sure. He knows how good this squad is. This spot just comes to me with just the ability they have ahead of them compared to the chance that some others have had to put something on paper. One of those teams, the Carolina Junior Canes, have had a tough last 10 games, 4-5-0-1. And this has been the story in the elite. Teams that were dominant all year long now struggling a bit after the break. Seen a lot of movement in this hockey world, a lot of things not opening up across the border, and players trickling down throughout all of junior hockey. The Carolina Junior Canes, though, they trickle down into this 8 spot.
Yeah, and where the Junior Canes are is splitting a lot of series. And splitting one series is not so bad. But when you start splitting a lot of different series, when you're coming in like they are in their last 10, 4-5-0-1, it becomes a situation where we don't really know one way or another, right? You flip a coin 2 times, one lands on heads, one lands on tails. We don't know what that third coin flip is going to be. So it's a situation where we need some more games to see if they continue to move up where they've been in the past, right? And where the talent suggests they should be. Their positive goal differential, 121 goals scored. You're looking at a good goals per game average. You're looking at good defense. Just some lapses, a tough month. And like you said, Dan, a lot of players joining these teams. It's an arms race out there.
And now, Lucas, we move to the 7 spot. And we start getting into the real controversy. And the biggest controversial portion of our power rankings this month is the New England division here in the elite.
Mm-hmm.
3 of 4 potential teams we had here make the top 10. I'm going to reveal right now one of them is not IHC. Right now, IHC at first place in the division outside of the top 10. Lucas and I kind of battled on this one a little bit. Lucas wins this battle here. And Lucas, this IHC team, it felt like the consistency wasn't always there, that there were the great moments and there were the down moments, and they just never really met up. And the biggest thing for IHC were those 2 picks losses towards the end here that dropped them out of the top 10.
Yeah, I think that was huge. And again, you talk about these split series, right? And not being really able to figure out how to beat these top tier teams at the moment. Yes, they're in first place, but as we've said before, this is a what have you done for me lately ranking, right? It's not how they've done all season. It's how have you done within your last few games. And in their last 10 games, Dan, they are 5-4-0-1. So a situation where really tough. You look at their opponents, tough to put them in. But the team we do have in, we were pretty psyched about.
The Boston Junior Bruins here at number 7, and they take the 7 spot. More controversy to come with that because they had 3 big wins against the Springfield Picks, who swept IHC here towards the end of the month. This Bruins team, though, started the month 4-0, lost their last 2 to end the month out. And this is another team where I look at what the opportunities they have ahead more than what they were able to put on paper in the month.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, when we looked at this Bruins team, 4-0 to start, then losing 2 in a row, that 4-2 is not as impressive on paper as what it looks like when you dive in a little bit. This is a good team, solid fundamentals. They've sort of beaten up. They've definitely beaten up on the Picks a little bit, but the Picks are a really good team. And when you beat really good teams, you are a really good team and you deserve to get into the power rankings in a good spot and in a hyper competitive month, in a month that's so upside down, left is right, front is back. The Bruins make it in. And again, this is a little bit of a predictive spot. We think they're going to go far in this elite division.
Next up at number 6, watch out. Here come the Colonials. Anchor down, baby. The Charleston Colonials at number 6, the highest they've climbed in the elite this year.
Yeah, the Charleston Colonials were incredibly impressive. They have really improved in a huge way. 5-2-2-1 in their last 10. They've got wins against the Junior Canes, the Florida Eels, Tampa Bay Juniors, Hampton Roads Whalers. So they're beating really good teams. They're beating former and current top 10 teams. And we just feel like getting a chance to finally look at this team and look at some of the improvements they made in the personnel department, look at who they've brought in, look at how guys have developed, right? The development has been happening this whole time. And it's such a familiar story because it's the same thing last year. This Colonials organization, they bring in guys, they develop them as a team. You have to be a team to succeed. Yes, you can bring in a bunch of singular talent, but if it doesn't operate like a team, you're in trouble. And the Charleston Colonials right now are firing on all cylinders, anchored down all the way to the end.
And you look at my guy, Connor Wilkerson, who I got a chance to take a picture with out there down in Charleston, got a chance to get in between the pipes, got a chance to dress there, Lucas. You got a chance to be on the ice there with his squad. You look at the squad here, Brady Smo-Joyce, Sebastian Hale, our guy from Alaska, Lucas's favorite winter beach vacation spot, Alaska, Seth Kotler, Marco Pineda, Jake Holston, who's just, man, this guy pulls it out of the holster, scores goals, pow, pow. This team does it in every way, the right way. Hunter Morgan, Gavin Klein. I love the squad they put out there on a day in and day out basis. Watch out for the Colonials down the stretch. You cannot forget about this squad. Those 2 Hurricanes wins are huge. That Eels win is huge. Tampa win, huge. Hampton Roads win, huge. Potomac's been tough in the month. You lose to the Hurricanes, you lose to the Eels twice, you lose to the Generals twice. Not one loss against a team outside the top 10 in our power rankings. Ooh, a little bit of a preview, a foreshadow to the rest of it. Number 5, the Springfield Picks. Back to that New England kind of, oh no, how do you do it? Springfield loses 3 in a row to the Boston Junior Bruins, which puts the Junior Bruins in a spot where they could be ranked ahead of this pick side. Bruins have lost some skaters here. They lose the last game of the month against this pick side. Then the Picks beat the Bandits 4 times and take care of IHC twice. 6 consecutive wins to end the month. We tell you all the time at home. We base these rankings on now. What have you done for me lately? It's a power ranking. It's not a standings ranking. It's not an overall ranking. It's how much power do we feel the Picks are powerful. Number 5.
Yeah, and the Picks are led by Dominic Balboni, and he's got 37 points on the year, 21 goals, 16 assists. But damn, they've got double-digit skaters and double-digit points, so they're spreading it around. You've got guys who are, all these points guys are getting a lot of assists. This is a team effort. These are guys that are moving the puck forward. Consistency, beating the Bandits 4 times. Like you said, taking care of the Islanders Hockey Club. This is a team that is, again, primed for movement. You struggle in the beginning of the month, you clean it up towards the end, and you shoot off like a rocket towards the end of the month. That gets on our radar. Those types of things are what get you going. If you struggle a little bit in the beginning, it's how you prime and get ready for February is what matters, and we think the Picks are ready to take on the month of February.
The Picks are the absolute kind of understanding of winning the games that are put in front of you, right? It's similar to the Rockets being at 9. It's win the games in front of you. Take care of business. Bachman, Turner, overdrive. You take care of business, you make your way into the power rankings. Number 4, this team takes care of business. Also, Lucas, I think Dominic Balboni's leading the league in top goals on the top 5 goals videos as well. Number 4, the Florida Eels. And this comes off of a split with the Cyclones, a really good squad. You beat the Hitmen. You take care of the Aviators twice. You beat an IHC team that gets knocked out of the top 10 because of some of their losses in the month. You beat a Colonials team we just put at 6 twice. You beat a Hurricanes team we put at 8. You beat a Whalers team we put it at 10. And your losses, I mean, you have the Potomac loss there, but you have the Cyclones, the Colonials, the Rush. The Potomac loss comes on the back end of a really long weekend in Charleston after a long bus ride, tired skates. Your only losses are against 6, number can't tell you yet, and number can't tell you yet in the Cyclones and the Rush. Just saying, we didn't say either of those team names yet.
Yeah, the Florida Eels have been really, really impressive. And if you want to talk about, a team that's really firing right now, they are example number 1. I mean, they are led by, a great core of skaters. They've got guys up and down. Caleb Harrop, Anthony Zebley, Matthew Clift. I was most impressed by their defensemen. I think the defensemen for the Florida Eels right now have got this thing on lockdown. They're firing on all cylinders. Vincent Cartier is an absolute diamond.
How
This
about
is a kid.
Chambray, Cartier, au revoir to any goal-scoring opportunity.
The flair, the named flair of this team. Every single defenseman comes with a little bit of a hand motion, and then they run you right through the boards, and they take the puck, and they score on the other end, and I love to see that intensity.
Yeah, and you look at this squad, I love Harrop, Zebley, Clift, Ryu, Angles. You talk about your top scorers, like this team gets out after it, man. What I liked that I saw from the Florida Eels, we got to broadcast their game against the Carolina Junior Hurricanes in the Elite, right? They went out and they controlled a game from start to finish. You scored seconds into it, 57 seconds, and you scored twice. You're up 2-0. They win the game 3-0. Watching Coach Sanchez and his side really just settle into, we've got the lead. So many times you see teams start committing penalties, start making stupid mistakes, turning pucks over, thinking, I got to win this thing 10-0. We just scored twice in a minute. They locked in. They played good defense. They played smart hockey down the stretch. I kept saying it during the broadcast. There were times where you almost felt like it was boring, right? Because their defense was so good. You never felt like the Junior Canes could get a hold, a grasp, a grip of what was going on. And they just sucked the life out of the building and won a game. And that is a winning team. That's how you win playoff games. That's how you win in a showcase on day 1 when you got to play 4 total games. I love what this Eel side does.
Yeah, no, 110%. I think their defense has been much improved. I think that their approach to the game has gotten better. And watch out. If you think the Florida Eels are not going to take it to you, you're in for a rude awakening.
We go to number 3, and this team moves to number 3 on the back of a screaming Dan K. I love the Northern Cyclones Elite. These boys have been my guys since the Matty Irwin, Keenan Waters world, now down in Potomac, and Danny Woods days now with the premier side with the Northern Cyclones moving up through that model. And Matty Irwin over Framingham State. And this team's 15-3-0, identical record to the Rockets Hockey Club. I genuinely think by next month, you're thinking Northern 3, Rockets 4. I'm going to say that now on the air, Coach Wags. But this team, 15-3-0, I mean, they took care of business against the Aviators and the Hitmen. The Hitmen had beaten the Rockets. They sweep the Rockets, Hitmen 3 times, this Cyclones team. They beat the Eels. They beat IHC. They beat a Blades team twice that's turned out really good. Their only loss to the Blades comes with 11 seconds left to break a tie. So, I mean, it's a heartbreaker at the end. Then you lose one to an Eels team that we just put at number 4. So you lose to a number 4 side. You lose to a Blades team that's on the up and come with Jack Clunk out of Manahawkin, New Jersey. I think that the Cyclones team has done everything they need to be number 3.
Yeah, you're looking at a plus 61 goal differential over 18 games. So you're looking at winning by an average of 3 goals a game. They're giving up just over 2 goals a game. Their goaltending is once again their backbone. Connor Vittan's 2.13 goals against, a 903 save percentage. And I like the comparison you made to the New Jersey Rockets, or the Rockets Hockey Club, Dan, because in the beginning of this year, I said the Rockets Hockey Club in the elite was going to be involved in the national championship game. And I think what the Northern Cyclones have done this month is what the Rockets will do when they get down to the hub. But as far as this Northern Cyclones team goes, they've got all the pieces in place from top to bottom, the offense, the goaltending. It feels crazy to say every single month that the Cyclones are the classic Cyclones, but they're not the classics unless they prove it, right? That's how the classics become the classics, is because they stand the test of time. And I think that the Northern Cyclones do that, and it's on the back of that defense, Dan. You're giving up just over 2 goals a game. You got to factor in that in junior hockey, you're scoring about 3 to 4 on average. So if you can hold to under 3, under 2.5, you put yourself in a good spot right off the bat.
And Giordano, man, Gio is lights out as a forward for this side. We go to the top, the tippy top. 2-1. Last month, the Generals were 1, the Rush were 2. I will tell you the same 2 sides find themselves at 1-2. At number 2, a team that is 7-0-1-0 in their last 8, 7-2-1-0 in their last 10. Their only losses are to top 10 teams in the month, yet they drop a spot. The Richmond Generals. They beat the Whalers. They beat the Gaines. They beat Potomac. They beat the Colonials. They beat Atlanta. They beat Tampa Bay. They did what they needed to do. Lost 1 to Hampton Roads. Lost 2 to the Canes. The Richmond Generals sit in second.
And the Richmond Generals are a scary number 2 seed in the elite. They are by far, I think, the most physical team in the Southeast. They are by far one of the most defensively capable teams in the Southeast, in the entire elite division when they have a lead. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it, is that when Richmond gets a lead, it is nigh impossible to come back from down 2 goals or more against this team, because they're disciplined, they know how to clear the puck, they know how to challenge teams, they've got a great coach, they play chess when other teams are playing pogs down by the park. This is a Richmond General squad that can rotate goaltenders with reckless abandon. They've got goalies out the wazoo. They've got skaters that are physical and that can score the puck. This Richmond team is scary. And I think the only thing, Dan, that we saw was because they've literally lost a game. Because they've literally lost games is why they're number 2.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting because, imitation's the finest form of flattery. And in these divisions in the Southeast, what have we seen, right? It used to be like Rush Whalers. And then the Generals were always like the next down, like they were 1C. And the Generals have put themselves into the mix now. And they're probably the best elite team out there overall in the last 2 years, the last 3 years here since they won their elite national championship. You look at what they do, they get output. Like we do a game and a guy like Caden Hardesty, who comes into the game with 3 total goals in a year and 20 starts, scores 2 and gets the start of the game. It's a team that works hard for a living. RC gets how to play it. And you talk about imitation's the finest form of flattery. Like, we loved what the Florida Eels did in our broadcast. Take an early 2-goal lead, lock down, clamp down, ball game over, Eels win. Looked really similar to a Richmond approach. Get a lead, lock down, hit hard, block pucks, get it clear, take the chances when they're there, but don't go outside your limits. They sit at number 2. We go to number 1. If anybody even questions number 1, I will quit the Dan K show. I will quit working in hockey because this is all a joke and a lie. If anybody in the world can question this elite side at number 1, I have seen nothing like this ever. But I will tell you, I am the smartest man alive and also the most humble alive, but I am the smartest man on the planet. A man that just, I see things here and they just, I see things differently. Like when, what like a NASCAR driver, when things are moving 200 miles per hour, for me, like maybe 5-6 miles per hour, there's something about me that just the blood runs through me differently. And again, humble as all heck. And this Rush team, I made the note in our power rankings. Who'd they beat? What are their important wins? Who'd they beat in the month? Everyone, in all caps. 5 wins in a row against Hampton, 2 against Potomac, 3 wins against the Junior Canes. They beat the Blades, they beat Tampa, they beat Atlanta, they beat the Eels. They have put up a point in 22 consecutive games. In the last 22 games played, they could have gotten 44 points. They got 43 of the last 44. They have won 19 consecutive games. At the beginning of this season, we had to make way too early predictions. I love this elite side so much. I said the Rush would win 18 straight at some point this year. They did one better. 19. I am a genius, and my genius is only matched by the ability of this Rush side. The Charlotte Rush have been my boys all year long. I told you all in those way too early predictions that I thought they would double dip. I thought they would win both national championships. In the elite, they have been unbeatable, and not just unbeatable against the absolute best of the best. Ivan Korchak, James Tilley. You look at Michael Miller, Alex Minger, Ty York, man, a player of the week, 10 goals, 13 assists. This guy's played 14 games. He's got 23 points in 14 games. He's a year 04. Finding Nemo came out in 03. Ty York came out in 04, and he has 23 points in 14 played. Just get out of the way. The freight train is coming, and it's coming to Cup Town, baby. Woo! Let's go Rush.
The Charlotte Rush have been an unstoppable force of nature all season long, and that includes the month of January. They've been absolutely incredible, scoring a ton of goals, blocking a bunch of shots. Their defense, second best defense in that Southeast division. One of the best defenses in the league, especially considering the division they're in and the number of games they've played. I don't know if there's a lot of teams in the elite that can compete with the Charlotte Rush. We've talked about Richmond. I think the Cyclones, the Eels are there. We're interested to see where the Rockets are at. This top 10 squad is going to be hard pressed to really compete with the Rush. The one thing that will be interesting, Dan, is when we get to nationals time, we've seen teams can get into the mix that you don't think get in the mix. And they get into the mix in strange ways, and there's weird energy, and the puck takes some interesting bounces sometimes. And if they can make it through and they get into that tournament mode, I think the Rush are going to be very, very difficult to beat. Good luck anyone trying to get a puck past them.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Arlie Cutler in net, man. This guy's cutting up pucks all day long. Brian Brady, 14-3, 0-2. I mean, this guy's got a bunch of saves for him. Charlotte Rush at number 1. This team has been better than even I could have imagined. And I mean, my imagination is up there with some of the best imaginations on the planet. There are few who could imagine what I can imagine. And I imagined myself looking at a Rush team that won a zillion times. And I was like, man, there's not a zillion games in the schedule. But close to a zillion, 18. It's like 18, 19, 20, a zillion. So I went with 18. They went with 19, and they're going to keep winning. The Rush at number 1. Your top 10 in the elite. Charlotte Rush sit at number 1. Someone's got to beat them eventually. 19 straight wins. The Richmond Generals at number 2. The Northern Cyclones jumping all the way up to 3. The Florida Eels at 4, their highest ranking in the elite in their existence. Number 5, the Springfield Picks. Number 6, the Charleston Colonials. Number 7, the Boston Junior Bruins. Number 8, the Carolina Junior Hurricanes. Number 9, the Rockets Hockey Club. A tie for 10th in the wake-up spot, the Tampa Bay Juniors and Hampton Roads Whalers. And IHC in first place in New England does not make it in. Wow, what an elite. We got to get to the Premier. Voice your frustrations, your agreements, your concerns, and your love for all that is the Dan K Show. Premier Power Rankings coming up next.
Head to EliteJRProfiles.com to find the best way to give your student athlete the tools and connections needed to reach their highest goals in both sports and academics.
All right, welcome back. Elite Power Rankings behind us. It is time to get into the Premier Power Rankings presented by the wonderful folks at Elite Junior Profiles. You want to take your profile to the next level. You want to get recruited. You want to find coaches from throughout your sport that you play. You got to go to Elite Junior Profiles. You got to sign up. You got to make an account. These guys are the bestest, the best, the best, the best, the best. Paul Peckman, Lane Houck, the folks at Elite Junior Profiles, www.elitejrprofiles.com, not just for your hockey player. It's for your soccer player, your volleyball player, your basketball player, your softball player, your crew paddler, I guess that would be. I don't know. I'm ignorant on the sport itself, but I'm trying to learn. Go to elitejrprofiles.com and find out how to take your recruiting profile to the next level, to the moon, to the stars, and beyond. Number 10, Lucas, in the Premier Power Rankings here is another tie. This is the opposite of the wake-up spot in the Elite. Mm-hmm. The Elite, we used it as kind of a wake-up moment for the guys, bulletin board material. This is what happens. Let's go. Let's wake up. Here, we use it as a we were woken up spot by the way these teams played in the last month and some roster moves we really love. The Charleston Colonials and Elmira Junior Enforcers at number 10. Elmira making their debut in the Premier Top 10 Power Rankings. The same for Charleston. Both teams, first ever time in the top 10 in the Premier. And the Colonials now in the top 10 in both the Elite and Premier. What an accomplishment. This Elmira team, though, Lucas, this is a squad that added Mateo Dixon, who is, he is shot out of he's a rocket ship of a skater, fastest kid alive, skating at Mach speed, skating by guys. We saw him score 2 goals in 2 seconds when we went out to Elmira. They got Mitch LaFay, who's just a large and in charge, long-armed forward who gets in front of the net on the power play, really makes it tough for netminders. This Elmira team's a real deal.
Absolutely. I mean, they're adding skaters. They've got a healthy Mitch LaFay back. You know, they've got a lot of their size and they've got some of their physicality as well. A goal differential trending in the right direction, 7-3-0 in their last 10. This is an Elmira team that has played some big games. They've beaten some big opponents. And again, you talk about this January power rankings. It's as much of a where teams are trending, right, as it is of where they've been. So, you know, this Elmira Junior team, this Elmira Junior Enforcers have absolutely earned this 10th spot.
Yeah, and you look at what they do as a squad. Bryce Colpeen, a guy who plays both D-man and extra skater and forward. He'll play anywhere for him. Will Darling, who's the darling of Elmira now. This guy scores pucks in bunches as a D-man. He's got a slap shot that's absolutely a trillion miles per hour. You look at Jack Rogers, man. I'm president of the Jack Rogers fan club from doing Elmira games, man. Official president of the Jack Rogers fan club, leading the team in points at 34. Nick Bear is Grizzly. This guy battles out there. Drake Reed, man. I used to call him on his cell phone back in the day, but now you can't reach him because he's scoring too many goals. Everyone's trying to call Drake. Ben Sarbaugh, man. This guy is absolutely just awesome. Mateo Dixon's the fastest kid alive. Lance Hamilton, the Hawaii man. Mateo Dixon's 11th on the team in points, Luke, because he's played 7 games. Like, already he's in there. You go to the Colonials, and this is a team that's made all the right additions and is on a huge point streak, or was on a huge point streak here this past month leading into the Southeast Showcase. And I just really like the additions they made. This is not a win-loss record team in the top 10. This here is a futures team. We're making an investment right now, and this isn't a GameStop investment. This is like investing in Apple before they launched.
Yeah, this Colonial side is been really impressive, and they've done a lot with their offense this month. And they've beaten the Carolina Junior Canes in those games. In those 3 games, they put up 14 total goals. They won 2 of those 3 games. Then you go and you play the Florida Eels, and you take 2 of that 3 matchup, and in that matchup, you score 17 goals in 3 games. Then you go and you drop one to the juniors, which we know that Premier side has made some additions and some adjustments of their own. And then you just get out there and you beat Richmond, right? You beat this Richmond team, which is so physical, and you do it with defense. You get out there, you make the stops. Their goaltending has made huge improvements. That's Givorowski and Mons. These are 2 guys who admittedly are going to need to now hunker down and really start to defend that net. This team can get into shootouts. They can win these big games, these back and forths. But as you get closer to nationals in that conversation, you're more likely to have the 2-1 game against Richmond than you are to have the 7-5 shootout. So you get a lockdown on that defensive end. You got to get that net minding straightened up. But hey, if you're scoring 5, 6, 7 goals a game, that certainly is not going to hurt either.
Yeah, and you look at this squad. Tyler Sanborn is the guy who stood up to me on that roster as a big addition. You know, you talk about these midseason additions. Former Rockets hockey club guy. Sanborn is a defenseman who I think goes under the radar too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm a scout out there and I see Tyler Sanborn skating around, this kid is the real deal. He's a Euro 2, put up a ton of points already for Charleston. I'm getting on the dial right now, and I'm getting in touch with Tyler Sanborn. And with that, we get in touch with a team who sits at 9 in both our Premier and Elite Power rankings now, the Rockets Hockey Club. Talk about identical. And a guy who leads the way in their point getting with 62 points is identical in goals and assists still. No matter how many games he plays, he just adds a goal and an assist. He was at 24 games played, 24 goals, 24 assists. I can't believe this. The Sheriff, Harris Blackwood, is at 31 games played, 31 goals, and 31 assists because he's a no-nonsense lawman who takes care of the town of Bridgewater, New Jersey.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be, Harris Blackwood. You know, when you have a guy who's a goal scorer and a creator, and you look at the guy right under him in terms of points, the 2 guys right under him, Dylan Costello, 15 goals, 41 assists. Tyler Inlow, 17 goals, 24 assists. This is a team that can rely on their offense to get them out of a lot of sticky situations, Dan. They have not just the top offense in their division, but they're the top 5 offenses in the Premier Division as well. Their goal differential sits at a plus 91. It means that they are winning games by an average of 3 goals per game. Just under 3 goals per game. That is a hugely impressive statistic. And they do it all while staying out of the penalty box.
Yep.
When you look at those PIMs, you look at that, you say to yourself, you know, a team who's got a ton of them, whether that's a liability, especially as you get up against these top of the, you know, these top of the list power play units. But the Rockets play a clean game, they play a physical game, they play a fast game, and they play an offensive game.
You got to watch out for the Rockets. I'm serious. I think by next month, the Rockets could be in the top 5 in both divisions. I think that's how good both of these rosters are. I'm excited to see kind of how this all plays out. And how about a team? We talked about 2 teams at 10 that make their debut in the Premier Power Rankings. How about a team that makes their highest spot in the Premier Power Rankings in program history? Metro Jets Development Program, MJDP, baby. Patrick Hayes is fast as Hayes. This guy is absolutely Bayou. This guy is the Louisiana kid. He is blue Bayou, man. He's right by you, past you to the net. 18 and 18 on the year. Joseph Mocknick taking it to Mach 5 every single day. 27, 34, and 61. This is not your grandparents' MJDP side, all right? This is the squad. I think this MJDP squad has a chance to give the Metro Jets a run for their money. That's how good the Metro Jets are doing. The Metro Jets are so good they could beat themselves. That's how good the Metro Jets are. Nobody else can say that in the Premier. I love Coach Quenville. I love the work that this whole squad is doing out there. Coach Tina Serralo, everybody out there in Metro, they put in so much hard work every single day to make sure this game works. You want to talk about a group that's doing the right thing for the game of hockey? The Metro Jets do it at all levels, and MJDP is at a whole nother level.
Yeah, they're just scoring a whole bunch of goals there, Dan. They've got 192 goals for. Their differential's plus 127.
Yep.
You can survive against these top-tier offenses. You can shut down these top-tier offenses. The defense is there. The goaltending's there. They're beating teams regularly. The consistency is there. They were extremely impressive when we saw them in Chicago. First place in that division. This is a team that can take it to the strongest of the strong opponents. We think they're going to do very well down the stretch.
12 consecutive games with a point, 10-0, 2-0 in their last 12. Daniel Miscavige, 14-0, 3-0. This guy's still yet to lose in regulation in net. 3 shutouts, a 1.66 goals against, 9.36 saves percentage. Works with the net-minding coach of Mr. Connor Hellebuck. Not a big deal. We go to number 7. This is going to infuriate dozens of teams.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it. But I am the biggest plus that's come from being in the LBI studios with Lucas J here, making these power rankings in person, is I threatened Tilly if this squad didn't make in the top 10. This is all me. I will take the brunt of it. If you want to complain, if you want to be frustrated, if you want to get mad, reach out to me, yell at me, be mad at me. The Hampton Roads Whalers at number 7. And you're saying to me they're in 4th place in the division. How, Dan? How? You know how? El Gato Gigantes. The bigger cat. The giant cat. Mr. Gatto. El Gato Gigantes. You watch that speech from the cat in the locker room after the big win, and the big cat was meowing. He was purring. He was roaring. And they are ready, man. They add Mini Duclair, right? I do declare, Mr. Beauregard, you are my goal scoring hero. Chris Duclair comes in and immediately makes an impression. Kyle Watson is going to dominate the world. The man from across the pond, man. This guy could score anywhere he goes. He is so good. You add Duclair to his line. You add in the talent they brought in the Hampton Roads, and you put the big cat behind the bench. Just get out of the way. Brad Jones texted me, and this is what changed it all. GM Brad Jones texted me, and he said, we don't do 4th place well. In fact, we don't do it.
Yeah, that is impressive. It's hugely impressive what they've done, Dan. All of the additions, all of the new guys they've brought in, how they slot well with the guys that already exist, the defense that allows the offense to get creative and aggressive, right? When you build from the net out, when you've got a guy like Vaught in net, when you've got defensemen like Young, Menard, and Kavanaugh who are locking it down, it allows that offense to get out there and work. And we watched that game where the top line scored 7 points all by themselves with 3 guys in the zone. That top line can operate while the defense stays back in the neutral zone. And if that doesn't shake the skates of every single team in the Premier Division, then you haven't been paying attention.
Christopher Duclair, 8 points in 7 games played. Just get out of the way. This is the scariest team left on your schedule anywhere on the planet. Yo, DJ, that's my DJ Randall, Kyle Watson, Pietro Bachrin. You look at Watson, 58 points. Next closest on his own team, 28. He's 30 points higher. Talk about balance again. the guys Dan K likes are the guys with the balance. 33 games played, 29 goals for, 29 assists. I believe you subtract 3 for being a Liverpool fan, but that's still great. And I've talked to anybody on the planet who's not scouting Kyle Watson. I mean, you put this young man next to a creative winger, creative forward on the left side, a creative centerman in the middle. You put a creative guy with him who can get him the puck. He's going to put it in the back of the net. And you're missing out if you don't have Kyle Watson on your target list right now. You're absolutely missing out. He's right now with Sasha Tonoli as well. It's the international line. Sasha Tonoli from Switzerland, right? Nothing neutral about this guy. This guy battles. Then you put Mr. Duclair, Christopher Duclair, at the center, and you bring him in from Montreal, Quebec. He says au revoir to pucks into the back of the net all day. And you put the man from across the pond, Kyle Watson, who says cheerio to the puck at all times. No? Still no? Is it still inappropriate because of how bad my English accent is?
You, I think, have now gone from New Zealand to London, but like an 1860s London. So
like a chimney sweep. Chim, chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, chiroo.
An improvement?
I do what I like, and I like what I do. There you go. Dick Van Dyke for you all at home. Little blast from the past, but now a team that needs no past. They're in the present. They're battling right now. It's the Boston Junior Bruins at number 6.
Yeah, the Junior Bruins have made a ton of improvements at the premier and elite level from last year to this year, Dan. They've got skaters firing on all fronts right now. Yes, they're 26-10 on the season, but I think the most impressive thing for me right now is a 6-game win streak, 9-1-0 in their last 10. The classic Junior Bruins, right? The offense is good, sure, but it's the defense that everybody talks about with the Boston Junior Bruins, and I think for good reason. This defensive unit can get them out of a lot of jams. They're a goaltending factory. They got rookies up and down this roster, and they're led by Trevor Lawley, who is a rookie himself, 12-4 on the season, 2.22 goals against, .935 save percentage, backed up by Macchioni. These two combined are just left-hand, right-hand. It's a 1-2 punch. There's no weak game to play the Junior Bruins with these two in net.
Yeah, and then you look at Mike Bienvenu there with 49 points, Jared Harrington and Tyler Boris at the top of 50 apiece. And how about the defensemen Luke Mix and Michael Martignetti? And Mix, man, 3 goals, 23 assists, 11 power play assists for this young man. It's just another level of talent right now on the defensive end, and this classic Boston Junior Bruins like brand of hockey fits the roster they put together so well. I'm loving this because the Bruins the last couple of years, it's been NCDC has been incredible. Mm-hmm. And the Premier and Elite have been young and up and coming, right? So each year you've seen them grow throughout the year. They've brought that same mindset, right? But it just figured it out earlier this year. It just immediately happened for them. And this Junior Bruins side, so good. We go to number 5. This is a team, number 1, that makes their debut in the Dan K Show Power Rankings. Number 2, Dan K argued. Add them to the Hampton Roads list of teams that Dan K argued for heavily. Number 3, they actually slotted higher if we used our DKS Bowl Championship style series of numbering, using strength of schedule, games played, statistics, everything, analysis. They actually would have gone higher. Number 5, the Ogden Mustangs. Welcome to the party, Mustangs. It's time for the Stallions to make their trip into the top 5 in the Dan K Show Power Rankings, 5th best team in the nation.
And the Mustangs have done nothing more than rev their engine. They've waited for that light to turn green, and they have absolutely mashed that gas pedal, and they're flying. And they don't swerve like a real Mustang when you hit the gas pedal, because that back end will kick out on you, but not on this Ogden team. 8-2-0 in their last 10, currently on a 4-game win streak.
Yes, they're giving up a lot of goals, Dan. They're giving up 120 or so goals for 153 goals that they've scored on their own. But you know what? This is a division that's a shoot 'em out division. And in the Premier, you could be a shoot 'em out team. We've had shoot 'em out teams in this division before. And I think the consistency factor, because if you're a shoot 'em out team and you can't win consistently, that's a problem. But if you're a shootout team and you're winning over and over and over and over again, that is a sign that you can hang tight against defensive teams, offensive teams, everyone in between. And this team is led by a pair of rookies, two great scorers in Jake Mayer and Cade Herrera. 51 points, 42 points, respectively. What a duo.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is 4 consecutive wins, 8-2 and 9-2-0 in their last 11, 8-2-0 in their last 10. They sweep in a 3-game series the Pueblo Bulls, who we had as the number 3 team in the nation last go around. Then they go and top that by beating a Las Vegas team at number 1 in the Pacific at the time, or number 2 in the Pacific at the time, right before we taped this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This team is the real deal. Andrei Shmakov there, Christian Finney, Michael Heller at the defenseman position. Heller's a guy who I've watched a ton, man, on the ice. He is a real hockey player, man. He is a 6'3", 205-pound D-man who plays it physical. This Ogden team right now, in my mind, I've been loco for Noco all year long. I bumped Noco out of the top 10 for this Ogden side. We had to pick one in our minds with our numbers the way they popped out. They get the 5 at number 4. Antlers up. Minnesota Moose at number 4. It's the Midwest West. Will they be the ones cursed, or will we see another Midwest West foe?
Yeah, the Minnesota Moose, I mean, they're out there. They're playing a whole bunch of really tough teams, and that's just how it goes in the Midwest West, right? You've got all these teams that are always competing for as much of an advantage as they can get. And I think the one thing that I really like about the Minnesota Moose, Dan, is their ability to slot in well with these tough teams, to win, even if it's not consistently, but to keep these games close, to win the games where they can. They just lost to another team that will show up in our power rankings, but they're 8-2-0 in their last 10, and they've got a good goal differential. They've only given up 77 goals, third best defense in the Midwest West. They've got a ton of great goal scorers. We've watched, I think, the 2 guys that I think are the most interesting forwards on that team for me, from what we saw in person. I mean, you've got Tyler Brasini, you've got Ike Frankel, your left wing, right wing, but the centerman Vladimir Fadiv is such an X factor that he almost keeps this team at number 4 because of what these guys can do. Between Carlson, Brasini, Franco, Avaletta, and even Fadiv, you put those 5 guys out there, that talent is so good. This team is so incredibly deep. First line to fourth line, offense, defense, the whole shebang. The Minnesota Moose have it.
We talked about all these guys a billion times over, right? They're just so talented. So good. I love the young guys like David Anderson, Colton Gherkin, man, Christopher Consalzio that have come in and played some time with this squad. Tristan Avaletta is just an absolute centerman, face-off winning machine. He's like Scotty H in Moneyball. Scott Hatterberg, pick a machine. He's a face-off winning machine. And Luke Booza in net, man, he's the closest thing to a forward abuser between the pipes. He stops everything that moves at 2.29 goals against. Moose at 4, you said a team beat the Moose recently, and by recently you mean right away, just as we're taping this thing, the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings at number 3. We had these guys as 3-3. They played each other the day we taped the show. The River Kings win. The River Kings go to 3. Good luck with the Midwest West curse. But I will say the River Kings are the first team in the history of the Dan K Show Power Rankings from the Midwest West to remain the highest ranked Midwest West team and remain in the top 10 after being put in the top 10.
And, the reason they are that way, Dan, is because they've got 123 goal differential. They're plus 123 on the season. That's insane. That's absolutely wild. There's no way that's able to be maintained, except they've done it. And we've gone through all the names. This is another team where if you don't know the names right now, then you're not paying attention to the game of junior hockey. This is a team that is skewing towards experience. A lot of OOs, a lot of O1s. But what does that mean for this season? That means they're ready because they've got experience. They've got that experience that can get them down the stretch, right? They've got the leadership. They've got guys who can play in any situation. They've got defensemen who can play offense. In Jordan Steer, 8 goals, 34 assists on the season. They've got forwards who are comfortable on the power play. Luke Harkey, who's got 18 points in the power play, including a shorthanded goal. Guys that can score game winners. Nathan Bottles with 7 game-winning goals. So forget the incredible defense for a second. I'm impressed by the offense. I'm singing the praises of an offensive unit, Dan. That's got to count for something.
Yeah, and you got Jordan Steer there. I mean, you can play offense when you got a guy like Jordan Steer who can skate 30 a night and never let a puck by him. Like, this guy, 8 goals, 34 assists on the year. And what I love about his numbers is 19 power play points, 6 goals in the power play. If Jordan Steer is not playing for your team at the collegiate level next year, you're just wrong. And Adam Berzicki, that addition from Utica to come out here and get a big forward who hits hard, can run your fourth line. Marty Quarter's absolutely in love with this guy, man. And he loves him, and he's great. Nathan Bottles popping bottles. Sander Willard, man. Reese McDonald, back at the net for McDonald's again. And Jacuz, man, get the bubbles going. You're jumping into Jacuz. Max Moore taking it to the max, getting you more. This team's the real deal. This team's going to physical you up. Come playoff time, get out of the way. River Kings going to nationals, and I don't want to be playing them if I'm anybody there. Another team I don't want to be playing, a team that just put up double digits against a Pittsburgh Vengeance team that were just in our top 10 a couple months back, the Metro Jets. And this is a team that just continues to win games. And we ask you to win games. We ask you to put it on paper. And, you know, if MJDP's at number 8, Metro's number 2 here, and they are dominating yet again, 29-2-1. They've only lost 3 times. They've only lost twice in regulation, 8-0 in January, 9-1-0 in their last 10. They beat Elmira, who we have in the top 10. They beat Pittsburgh twice, but handedly. They beat a Philly team that was close to being in the top 10, probably in the top 15, and they beat Worcester twice.
And this was a Metro Jets team that we talked about, I believe it was 2 months ago, Dan. We put them in a pretty low spot in the top 10. And we said, well, if you want to move up, you got to prove it.
Yep.
I think they may have taken that personally because they have absolutely come roaring back. And yet again, the Metro Jets just come in with their goalies and they shut everybody down, and they have the best defense in the Great Lakes at 126 goal differential. Every single goalie is under a 2 goals against average. Every single goalie is above a 9.2 save percentage. As a team, 1.72 goals against, 9.24 save percentage. Good luck.
Unreal, unbelievable. This Metro Jets team just continues to win hockey games, and I, again, would not be surprised to see them at number 1 at some point in a national championship game. I would be surprised to see them raise a cup. They do it right. Like, I think one of the biggest competitions they're going to have is an MJDP team that they're going to see come nationals time that they may have to play against, that's going to know them so well because they darn near practice together every day.
Yep.
So, like, they're going to know exactly what they want to do. And to watch Coach Quenville joining Lucas running from bench to bench in a semifinal game in nationals to coach both sides with Coach Tina Serralo is going to be the funniest thing in the world. And Coach Lovell out there, I'm going to be having a great time watching Coach Lovell, Coach Serralo, and Coach Quenville just changing benches for the semifinals to go to the national championship.
I'm going to have to make sure I keep my bench interviews straight if they end up playing each other, Dan. Otherwise, I'm just going to end up interviewing Coach Quenville like 4 times.
It's going to be great. I can't wait. And I can't wait to reveal number 1 here because 2 teams in the history of the Dan K Show Power Rankings have been number 1 in both the Elite and Premier. The last team to do it was the Charlotte Rush. The next team to do it, the Charlotte Rush. And the Hampton Roads Whalers and Charlotte Rush are the only 2 sides to ever be at number 1 in the Elite and Premier in the same month. The Charlotte Rush, Lucas, 29-5-1-0. The Charlotte Rush, 160 goals for, 63 against, nearly a plus 100 differential in what has been an incredibly difficult division, 13-1 in January. Not only did they win in January, they won 13 times. There are teams that it's just so many games to win, right? And the teams you beat, 4 against the Whalers, a team we just put at 7. The Whalers have made some additions since then, though. That's why the Whalers slotted up. 3 against the Junior Canes, who were just as high as number 5. 1 against the Tampa Bay Juniors team that could have easily been in this top 10. We argued over that for a while. And your only loss is to Hampton Roads, who we have at 7. So, again, this Rush team, Lucas, between 13-1 in January, they premier 14-0 in the elite. So they were 27-1 between the two organizations in January. They don't lose, and if they do lose, it takes everything to beat them. It is Thanos with a gauntlet, man. These guys snap their fingers, and there's 3 goals on the board. It's never ending. It's relentless. It's so fun to watch what Ryan Crothers, what Jocelyn Langlois, what Trevor Jewell, what the entire crew out there in Charlotte have done is unrivaled, unmatched. What Schwabi's done out there, it's unbelievable. You look at, we just talked with, go watch our podcast from this past yesterday, almost this past week, from yesterday, with Arcadia's head coach Vincent Petrangelo. He has to build a new team. What did he tell us? He went and got 5 Charlotte Rush guys off the bat. He said, I believe in Ryan Crothers. I believe in what the Charlotte Rush do. They just do it so right. They create the right type of player, and they've done it in the Premier and Elite now. And Lucas, we're going to be in Charlotte this weekend. We're getting in the car the moment this airs, and we're driving down to Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's right. We're heading down to Charlotte, North Carolina to cover the St. Baldrick's Charity Weekend. We've got some youth hockey, some Premier and Elite hockey on tap. Charlotte Rush reached out to us. Coach Ryan Crothers, he reached out to us. He said, hey, are you guys available? You want to come down and work with us? And, well, of course we said yes, because of course we said yes. We're going to get down there. We're going to cover some hockey. It's going to be a lot of fun. Remember, you too can say, hey, are you guys available? And then we might say yes if we're available. Obviously, we have to work that out. But the big thing is you can go to dankshow.com. You can navigate to the Hire Us tab that's now on the top of the website. And we have it broken down for you. So if you're a player, an organization, or a team, you've got your own little section. And then you can reach out to us using the contact form. But this Charlotte Rush team, Dan, a handful of skaters above a point per game. The highest point per game skater, Charlie Merkley.
Charlie Merkley.
5 hat tricks. 5 hat tricks this season.
What did the 5 fingers say to the net? Goal.
That's insane. 5 hat tricks is such an absolutely ridiculous number that it makes you want to go back in and count them again. It's absolutely bananas, Dan. This Charlotte Rush team is 110% firing on all cylinders. 63 goals allowed in 35 games played is, by my rough back-of-the-hand math, per game, the least amount of goals given up by any team in the USPHL. And I will stand by that math until I'm corrected, and then I will cower and apologize. But I believe the math is correct, and it feels right, because this team is so good offensively that offense becomes defense.
Yeah, and they go out. I mean, you lose Trip Clark. What do? David Battisti just fills right in for everything. 24-4-1-0. He has only lost 4 times in regulation. He's got a 9.44 saves percentage, a 1.70 goals against average. When I tell you that every single junior hockey coach that I talk to about the Premier, in the Premier, anywhere, brings this young man's name up to me to ask me, is he really that good? Yes. Bubba is brilliant. David Battisti might be the best netminder to grace the crease in the USPHL's history. This guy joins Chris Funke from the Jersey Hitmen's Championship squad back in the day, went and played at Penn State. He joins some of the big time names like Mighty Joe Young, who I used to cover at the Philadelphia Junior Flyers. He joins, a Jared Young, who was out with the Dells Ducks when they won an elite championship years ago. This kid is the real deal, the realest of deals. You have to watch him. You have to tune in. Go get him. 8 shutouts in 29 games played, 9.44 saves percentage. He's faced 833 shots. It's not like he's seeing nothing. Not like this is just a team that's rolling guys. I love it. I love this Rush side. The Rush at number 1 in the Elite Premier. Rolling back your top 10 at number 1, the Charlotte Rush. Number 2, the Metro Jets, moving back up to that 2 spot. Number 3, the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. Familiar foes at 1, 2, 3. Familiar at 4, the Minnesota Moose. Antlers up. Put them up, put them up, put them up. Number 5, the Ogden Mustangs. Lucas uses car terminology. I prefer my Mustangs to have 1 horsepower and be a horse. Boston Junior Bruins at 6. Hampton Roads Whalers at 7. Scream at me, yell at me, write your mean tweets. At number 8, MJDP. Number 9, the Rockets Hockey Club. And number 10, a tie between the Charleston Colonials and Elmira Junior Enforcers. With that in mind, I remind you, hire the Dan K Show. You can come right to us. Rather than us having to break down walls every day just to get out and cover events, we can come to you and you can work with us directly. Reach out to the Dan K Show, www.dankshow.com, at @the_Dan K Show, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Lucas has so much to edit, so parting words. Nothing. Let's go. Get it over with, Dan. That's what he's thinking in his head. Remastered Sleep. Go to remasteredsleep.com. 1 sip can start your fight against snoring. Water bottle of your dreams. It's a water bottle. It's simple. Dan K Show 10 at checkout to get your water bottle for 10% off. Elite Junior Profiles, we talked about it. They present these power rankings. They're incredible people. Go to elitejrprofiles.com, USPHL.com to learn more about the best league in the country. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night. Power Rankings Week concludes.
Fun fact, did you know that a horse actually can generate 15 horsepower?
I don't want to hear that. It's 1 horsepower. That's not a fun fact. That's an angry making fact because why would they call it horsepower at all? And why is it horsepower? What does it even